seconds. Guidance is internal.
Our Elephants is the podcast. My name is Mike Rashid.
Sean Torbati.
And we have a very special guest, my brother, Senator Ed Melton. Melton, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all good.
How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. I just appreciate the opportunity being here.
We really appreciate you coming, taking your time to come down. So what brings you to California?
Here working on a few projects with a buddy of mine, Dame Dash, his wife, and my wife are good friends as well. And they're getting ready to have a baby.
Okay.
So we come to spend some time with them.
Nice.
Hopefully the baby will be coming in probably a couple days or so.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah, congrats, Dame Dash. That's one of my favorite people on earth.
Him.
Yeah.
You know, when I need motivation, I watch his Breakfast Club interview.
The classics.
It's so
classic.
good. It's so good.
Or his depositions.
All the depositions.
His depositions.
It's like I want to get depositions.
We watch
now.
those to get fired up, just like how the music fires us up.
Exactly.
Oh, you talking when he was talking
Okay.
about the attorney?
Yeah. You're a clown.
You're a clown. Look at oh man, I should TikTok that. You know what I'm saying?
Your outfit is ridiculous.
You're ridiculous. You disgust me. When he said you disgust me, I felt him. I felt
That was from
here.
the pit.
You know what I'm saying?
That was from the pit.
You discussed the ancestors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I felt them. The Breakfast Club thing, I felt them. I felt them. You know,
He's a good brother, man.
Yeah.
You know, I think people are now starting to see what he was saying 5, 10, 15 years ago is starting to come to reality, especially about our culture.
Right.
And things like that. So I've always admired Dame. When I was in my last campaign, I was in D.C. Congressman Andre Carson introduced me to Dame, and we just connected. At that point, we just stayed in touch and just became good friends.
right. I admire powerful people and people who live freely. And I feel like that's Dame, you know. And, you know, I get it. I feel like I have some similarities to him. We're not the same, but I have a lot of similarities because when I was watching that interview, I was just like, he's not wrong.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I do have a somewhat of a different perspective though, because everyone can't be a boss.
Right.
That's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? And for one to, me and my big bro T was having a conversation this morning about like the caste systems in Japan, in ancient Japan, right? And you know, I'm a huge fan of like history, military history, warrior, Bushido code, all of that stuff. And like a warrior was a caste, right? And it was a slave caste. They were a slave for their master.
Okay.
But it wasn't like looked at as, you know, how we look at it now. It was honorable, you know what I'm saying? So a warrior, his job was just to protect his master. And that was his life's mission, you know what I'm saying? So, and I feel like you could attach that to anything.
Yeah.
It don't have to be like a bodyguard situation. It could be anything. Like, my job is to make sure he's successful with whatever. And I feel like if everybody's like that,
Right.
well, whoever they're with, this would be a smooth place. You know what I'm saying? But everyone, I feel like a lot of people are, especially in our society in the United States, in the West, we have a very egocentrical me type of mentality. And, you know, I don't really understand why. And I know I have some of that in me. I have all the narcissistic things that annoy me, I have some of it myself.
Right.
You know, I'm not
we
going to
all
deny
do.
that. Yeah. But I've gotten to a point to where I know it, I can recognize it. When I feel it coming out, I can like check myself.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's it. You know, well, the one thing, and I'll say this about Dame, when you talk about being a boss, and you're absolutely correct. You know, everybody can't be a boss, but it's that boss mentality. Even if you got the 9-to-5 job and you have a passion to be independent, right? And you're driven to pursue your dreams and your passions. And like you said, empowering the people around you to be successful is extremely important. And you know, I've studied leadership, and one of the true definitions of a leader is if you can make other people around you a leader as well. So how do you multiply yourself and empower others? So you know, we don't have to always be the person in front.
Right.
How do we build up folks and build their leadership characteristics and things like that?
Right. When I really like do a self-analysis check on myself, I could 100% be subordinate to someone. I could 100% be number 2, number 3, number 4, but I have to really respect who I'm behind. You know what I'm saying? It would be a relief to have that, honestly. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm fine. I've always been, how I've been in my life. Like I got a sister, but we was raised in different households. So I'm an only child. So, I've always been, kind of like do my own thing, not really know what everybody else is doing, just do things my way. But I would have no problem being subordinate under the right circumstances. But I feel like life is dynamic. You got to be able to play whatever position you need to.
Yeah, I think COVID taught us that.
Right. Yeah. How is it in your state, in Indiana, with that?
Right now, I think that like nationally, the numbers are starting to go up. Everywhere. I think people have gotten a little bit comfortable and laxed, and not being on guard like we once were. You can also see how it became a political football as well too.
Unfortunately,
because we have Indiana's unique. Well, not that unique in terms of our political dynamics. We're in a super majority state, right?
What does that mean?
So you have Republican governor, a Republican Secretary of State, Republican Attorney General.
Okay. So that's all it
the
is.
The House it was like 67-33, right?
I got you.
And in the Senate it was 40-10.
So it's just a red state.
It's super red, but by design, right? It's gerrymandered to death. They drew the maps to favor one particular political party, right? I've been of the belief that if you want, equity in the voices of the people, you draw the maps in a fair process. Right. No one party, even if the Democrats, and I'm a Democrat, would draw the maps, we would probably draw it in our favors.
Right.
But if we had a independent commission of folks that...
Is that ever possible, though?
Yeah, there are states that have done that.
Oh, really? And it's fair?
Yeah, well, it's in the process of becoming fair because we're talking about decades and decades of doing this.
Right.
So most
really
states,
hundreds of years of that.
Yeah,
it's always been like that, yeah.
This is the same thing as like redlining in urban communities, minority communities, and et cetera. So it's going to take a while because every 10 years in Indiana, I'm sure that's across the country, we got the census. And our maps are drawn based off the census numbers, right? So the number of representatives you have in Congress is going to be based off the census. The number of folks that actually voted. Crazy story. I'm from Gary, Indiana. A lot of folks like Gary, Indiana. There's two things they'll know about Gary, Indiana. Michael Jackson. That's probably the first thing that probably cross your mind. Michael Jackson or our proximity to Chicago. So we're like 20, 30 minutes from downtown Chicago. But our politics, we're extremely blue. We're Democratic County, right? And we're almost treated like Chicago versus treated like Indiana.
Right.
And it plays out in the politics.
Is it predominantly black?
Gary is, yeah. Okay. Gary's like 80-90% black.
Okay, so let me ask you some questions about like the Democrat, Republican. For the record, just so you know, I'm not either. I'm registered as an independent. All right, so, but growing up, I'm like, Democrat, the family's doing whatever. That's
right.
Just because that's what everyone did. But, as I start getting older and just really looking at things, I'm like, nah, I'm not with this, or that. I really don't like how divisive things are because people fall into put themselves into those boxes, right? So it's like I hate you because you're that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, at the end of the day, we all want the same things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, why are you a Democrat? I want to, and I think it'd be good for the people to understand, like why, like what is it? What about that party attracts you?
Where I'm from, I think it's two things. It aligns to exactly what you said. Culturally, historically, family have been represented within that party, right? The second part is when I ran for office, I had to look at what party represents as close as possible my values in terms of education, in terms of working with and supporting, the less fortunate. And the Democratic Party was that party, right? Now, it's not a perfect party. I think we know that, right? But it's the party that represents close enough to everything that I feel that should be done to help out all the people within my state. Now, I would say over the last 5 years or so, and I've only been elected 4 years. I've been in office. I'm going into my second term. So shout out to the voters that reelected me. But I've been more conscious on Black people, our culture, and the lack of attention politically that has been given to us to address our needs, right? When we look at coming from Jim Crow, we're coming from slavery, going to the Jim Crow era, to the Civil Rights era, we've been fighting on the same issues for generations.
Correct.
Jobs, equality, justice, and we're still fighting on the same issues, right? And it doesn't matter which party is in control.
Correct.
And we're still fighting those issues. So I'm of the mindset now, it's like, look, we got to turn up, meaning those that are elected officials, even within the party, we got to turn up the accountability on our own party to say this got to be addressed now, not no 10 or 15 years later.
Right.
Now, like, what are we going to do with the new presidency to say housing is going to be addressed, police brutality is going to be addressed, and every single issue, education, where we're not figuring it out the upcoming election.
Right. So Biden won I think, I have no idea what's going on, but it looks like Biden won. Right. Okay, so how do you feel about him? How do you feel about that? His him coming into office in January.
During the primary, when we had, about 15 Democrats in the race, 12 or 15 Democrats in the race, I had a lot of people on that stage that I personally knew.
Right.
And I think, for example, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, he's 45 minutes, an hour away from me in Gary, and I've seen him as a leader grow. I think he was highly capable and competent. I think folks like Cory Booker, and I started to grow into like more of the newer folks that were coming out.
Did you like Tulsi?
Who?
Tulsi Gabbard?
Tulsi, I did. I liked some of her policies, and I liked how she was assertive and aggressive on her stance on the issues.
Yeah.
She showed a lot of leadership. The thing I think always that hovered around Vice President Biden was his past policies, and the impact it had on the Black communities. And he addressed those issues. I'm glad he did address them. But I think the evidence is going to be when you get in office, how are you going to turn the tide, right? I had a buddy of mine, I'm not sure you guys seen the news, that received clemency from Donald Trump.
Okay. Who was it?
Duke Tanner, Charles Duke Tanner. Okay. He was a boxer.
Okay.
Out of Gary. He was 19-0, and never been arrested before. He was accused of, it was a sting, a drug sting, where he was going to buy some fake dope. But to him,
he thought he was buying real dope. To was he buying it to sell it?
Right.
Okay.
So in that sting, the sentencing was over harsh. It was too harsh.
What was it?
Double life.
What?
He was given double life.
That makes no sense.
And he was 24.
Did someone get shot in the...
Nonviolent offender.
Wow.
He was given double life, 24 years old, and the judge was documented on saying that he was going to make an example out of him.
Wow.
Right?
Where was he prosecuted at?
In Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Indiana is notorious for that. That's where Mike Tyson went to prison, right?
Yeah, and he was in Terre Haute.
Yeah.
Terre Haute, Indiana.
Yeah.
So with Duke's case, you got to meet this brother, man. He was 19-0. He had just had his first ESPN fight, and it just went downhill from that point.
What year was that?
That was 2001, 2002, right? So when President Obama was in office, and I was helping him to petition President Obama for clemency. and he didn't get clemency, but his sentence was reduced to 30 years.
That's still life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He actually, if you hear his story, he would tell you that made him feel worse.
Right.
Because now he had a clock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, he's 40, and now he already served 14, 15 years. And he's looking at another 15 years. So he's like
55, 65, 55.
Yeah. So I had a buddy. There was several people that was working on his clemency. Miss Alice Johnson was where Kim Kardashian was responsible for helping to get her clemency. And you had a gentleman by the name of Weldon. It was folks from different angles that was approaching the Trump administration for this brother, man.
Right.
So I sent his packet to a friend of mine that was in the White House. I didn't hear anything for like 2 months. Then one day I'm sitting at my desk and they're like, "Hey, y'all need to go pick him up." President Trump just signed his paper.
Just like
I
that.
got goosebumps right now.
Like, go pick him up here in Pennsylvania. I dropped everything I was doing. I joined my brother Troy Bly, and we had his son catch a flight. Now, his son was 2 years old, man, when he went to prison. Now he's 18, playing college football.
Wow.
You know,
That's an incredible story.
so we all caught a flight.
Do you know the circumstances of, the negotiations, the conversations with President Trump to make that happen?
Miss Alice Johnson, she said that she literally is on Air Force One talking to him about Duke and why he should be one of the ones that he released. I wasn't there, but I can only imagine, and she never met him before. That's the unique thing, too.
What does that make you feel about President Trump?
Well, I would say I think he had an opportunity. He seized a moment on criminal justice reform, right? But at the same time, it was still political. It was to leverage what they already knew that black communities was looking at Joe Biden against his work with the crime bill.
Right.
But at the same time, I believe they freed 14,000 people from prison.
Yeah. See, bro. So here's the thing. Like, I know Trump's record. I research everything before I hop out and say anything. And the things that I seen that he did that were good, whether it was political or not, it wasn't publicized. So it makes me think, was it political? You know what I mean? Or because I donated to his and Biden's campaigns just to get all the correspondence. I never seen none of that. You know what I mean? So I would think that they would just keep pushing that.
Right.
We did this. I didn't see any of that. Right. So, but I did see it just researching, looking things up. I didn't take to memory any specific names, but I seen the thousands of people that, especially via Kim Kardashian and what her and Kanye was able to help put together with First Step and all of that. So, I thought that was dope. But here's the thing. If it is political, I don't care. As long as it happens. You know what I'm saying? As long as it affects these lives positively, right? So I was looking at one thing that did come across was when he classified the Ku Klux Klan as a terror organization, right? I'm like, okay, close to the election, political, so?
Right.
Nobody else did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't, like, especially on the level of the presidency, and then when we're looking at history, the micro don't matter. The optics matter. You know what I'm saying? Just like I'm not a Biden fan whatsoever. I'm gonna be straight up.
Right.
I don't like the guy. But I think the optics is good for the country, for the future. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, I agree with that.
But I think, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think why Trump got elected is because he's not a politician, because he's different, right? But I think if he had some of that political reverence to him, he might have been okay. He might have did a better job.
Right.
Because I like his bold, rambunctious, I'm going to make this happen energy. Because when Obama was in presidency, I was making excuses for him. I was like, well, he can't do everything.
Right.
He can't do that. But then I see Trump, executive order. I'm like, this dude is wielding. He's not just rattling his sword. He's pulling
Right.
it out.
Yeah.
And he's swinging. You know what I'm saying? So I like you. Listen, if we in a zoo, you want to be a monkey or a gorilla. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
So Obama was a monkey.
Yeah.
Trump is a gorilla. I know a lot of people. I know that he ruffled a lot of feathers. I also am not stupid, but when we go back to the micro and the macro looks bad because a lot of racist people follow the Republican Party. That doesn't make all Republicans racist.
Right.
And I don't want this to sound like I'm a Trump supporter or a Republican. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But I just see things for what they are, you know? So I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. It's just, my focus isn't on that, on anything federally.
Right.
It's on things that I can affect, you know? And I feel like that's what matters in people's lives more because I see people, man, it's just ugly what I see on social media with friends of mine. And I see how ugly they're getting behind this election. And I'm like, man, y'all going so hard for people that don't know you, that won't go hard for you. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's how the modern day politics is, I believe, in terms, especially with social media now.
Yeah.
And so much, you know, you can have a brawl on social media of words and people literally
lose friendships and
all of that.
Yeah.
Like, so on a flight here, I'm reading an email from someone. I just did a press release on an issue. And I'm reading an email from a constituent that was calling me the N-word, right?
in the email.
Oh, yeah.
A white guy?
Yeah, I can show you the email. It was crazy, right? And I'm thinking about the tone in the country right now is extremely volatile, right?
In the email?
Yeah, yeah.
That's suicide. That's political suicide, isn't it?
Well, this person probably have no desire to run for office.
They just
They were just
I guess
passed.
a person. Does everyone in your constituency have your email, and then they can email you anytime?
I got a district email.
and
right?
they can email it, and then it gets to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I try to read every single email that comes to me if it's not like any type of spam type of email, right? But I'm sharing this story to say that the tension is so high in the country, and I personally experienced it on several instances, right? As a senator, state senator, I'm in the state house. This happened on the weekend after the 4th of July. There was a storm. We was actually outside the state house at a rally, and I spoke at the rally. It was about police reform and criminal justice. So I spoke while I was preparing to speak. A storm hit. Myself and another colleague, we took our the remaining folks that stayed into the state house because we had the key.
Right.
And this is at the height of not at the height, but this is during COVID where there was no events that were supposed to take place in the state house. So we took folks in, and from the shelter, tree limbs was breaking. It was just for safety. So as we're in there, security guards came. Now I got a I Can't Breathe shirt on. I got my shorts on. I got my ball cap on.
Right.
I don't have my Senate uniform on.
Right.
They used to see me with a suit with a little pale pen, all that type of stuff. And to speed the story up, we were finishing the program inside the State House in a very respectful way. This wasn't one of those rallies where it was animosity or anger.
Right.
And while the speaker was speaking, I seen the police coming. Right. I'm like, I grabbed my other colleague station. I said, hey, he's Caucasian. I said, let's go tell him that, we'll be wrapping up in a minute. So as we walk into him, he's put his hands up. He said, stop right there. And he goes for his gun.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute. What's going on? I'm a senator. This is Senator Ford. I'm Senator Melton.
Right.
And it was like, don't move. Right?
Right.
He didn't unholster the weapon. Right. His hand was at the ready.
Right.
And I can understand to a certain degree, because I have family that's in law enforcement, that you see some people in the state house, you don't know if they're supposed to be in there or not. But why should you have to go to that extent?
Right. Everything is heightened. He's always on that level.
He came on 10. Right. And I'm walking very casually, like, hey, we getting ready to wrap up, sir.
Right.
And no. So those are some experiences just very on the surface level that I'm seeing that folks are at a heightened sensitivity when it comes down to just the conversation of race.
Right.
Just the conversation of race makes people uncomfortable, and we got to move past that.
So in your state, being that it's like you said, a super majority, not even like kind of a majority.
Right.
In that type of a situation, you have a constituency, a group of people that you represent that are not aligned with that super majority.
Right.
How does that make it for you to try and get anything done? Is it possible?
It is, to a certain degree.
Because you're voting at the state level on state issues.
Now, believe it or not, 90% of all legislation is bipartisan. Right.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
It's the 10%.
Okay.
It's typically social issues that there's a partisan line, right? And people were picking sides. Now, I've been blessed where I know how to negotiate and build alliances with folks and try to at least minimize the impact on things I know that's going to be catastrophic to our community.
Right.
If you know something is going to pass and is inevitable, one of the things I try to do is alert the community to say, we need your voice down at the State House. What people don't realize, even if they're not aware of the political process, the power of a collective voice is tremendous.
Yeah, man. I always say this, like, I use my platforms to try to like get messages to people, and the biggest thing I be trying to let them know is like, yo, y'all, the people have the power.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the people, listen, united we stand, divided we fall. Please soak that up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's power in numbers and people coming together. If people can have, there's got to be a lot of, I think some of the things that need to happen to get past these, the tension when race or anything like that comes up is we need to have a lot of conversations, and I've been having a lot on my own, with some pretty high up people, and a lot of it is not public yet. A lot of people are not allowed to talk publicly. It's weird, but, and it's always the mercury in the thermometer comes down. I sat with someone in Utah. It was at a function, and this guy was there, and we all ended up at some big mansion for like a little get together afterwards, and the dude was like, he looked like he got he's not too fond of black people. Right. So people drinking, and I'm by him. He's right here. And I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing, man? Small talk, and then we get to talking, and people. I'm a lot of things that I'm participating in. I'm like one of the only blacks there. So with that, politics always comes up to me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hot right now in the country, and there's a lot of issues. So we start talking about things, and I'm being real, but I'm giving it to him not in a contentious manner. I'm not packaging it like that, just like a normal guy, and this is what we're dealing with. And because a lot of times they don't get the perspective, they don't get the black perspective from a rational black man who's seen it all. I've seen it all from nothing to everything, so, and I'm one of those people I know a lot of people get to a certain level of success and they stay in a bubble. That doesn't concern me, but I'm not that guy, so I'm still hands-on with the struggle, so, but, I'm gonna give it to you rationally. So this guy was like, I gotta be honest with you. I was raised racist. My parents, and I was raised like that. But I just don't, that's not, it doesn't, racism don't stand up in person. You know what I'm saying? With conversation. And, we hugged it out. Yeah. He went to exchange numbers, nice. I think he's a cool dude. Yeah. I don't, like, when people are like, oh, I'm a racist, I'm this, I'm like, no, you're not. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk. Like, or let me get around certain people, you know. And that energy just don't, because it doesn't make sense to not like someone because they don't look like you. Listen, we've been at the blunt, we've been receiving blunt force trauma, emotionally, physically, all of that for 500 some years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm still not, I don't hate white people. You know what I'm saying? And I don't blame all white people for what we've been through, you know? But I do want the respect of like people acknowledging the past and the impact on what it has on society today, because a lot of people will try to be like, that's a long time ago. Like, nah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
You know, there was, you know, my great grandparents were sharecroppers, and that was just a nice word for slaves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People I've met. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't that long ago. And outside of that, right? Are y'all free?
Yeah.
What does that really mean?
Go
You know
make
what I'm saying?
it. Go figure it out.
Right. So we have a lot of problems, you know, and we got to figure it out. But I'm all right with that. Fuck it. Because we can't change anything. We got to, you know, do what's best right now. But when I look at, like, say, for instance, things that the United States does for other people, Japan, which we should be, I mean, we wiped them out of existence at one point, and we reconstructed, and we've been there ever since,
Right.
helping them.
Europe.
Israel.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't do anything to the Jews, you know, but we did what was right, and, you know, helping them.
You got the Marshall Plan that was instituted after, was it World War II, I believe, that helped to reconstruct parts of Europe that was decimated after the war.
Right.
And I've been of the belief that the United States need a Marshall Plan for urban communities.
Yes.
Right? Because this notion of pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right? We hear it time and time again, but it's not a equitable statement, right? I use my city of Gary as an example. And Gary is similar to like a Detroit, like a Dayton, Ohio, where our prominent industry was steel, right? When Gary was founded, it was founded by U.S. Steel in the early 1900s. The city was established in 1906, so you had a migration of Europeans that came to Indiana to work in a steel mill, right? At one point, the steel mill had 50,000 employees. To this day, right now, we got 4,000, right? Our city at one point had close to 200,000 people. Now we have 70,000 people, right? So the footprint hasn't shrunk, but just the population has shrunk. But the devastation of loss of industry from the economy all the way to automation has impacted, and we're feeling it.
Right.
So what do you do when that happens? When an entire industry has shrunk or has been phased out, and it's because of the way the national economy is. Do you turn your back on the city? And I can point, just like you was talking about hardcore facts earlier, I can point to hardcore facts that racism played a part in our downfall. Gary is a city that had the first black mayor in the country, Mayor Richard Gordon Hatcher.
Wow. Right.
Well, one of the first. You had a gentleman out of Ohio as well. They were elected at the same time.
Okay.
But Mayor Hatcher is known for being the first black mayor in the nation.
And when was that?
1968.
Wow.
Right? So Voting Rights Act, 1964, 1965, Civil Rights Act.
Wow. Yeah.
68, first black mayor in a diverse city at that time. 1972 was the National Black Political Convention. If you do the research, after that national convention that took place in Gary, thousands of people across the country, thousands of black people got elected in cities across the country, from dog catcher to Congress.
Right.
It grew. And that event And there's a movie called Nation Time that talks about that event. And I think it's something that needs to happen now. You had their culture at that time, from entertainers, from Harry Belafonte to Dick Gregory. Everybody was there. Coretta Scott King was there. Betty Shabazz was there. Everyone in that time frame was in the room to talk about what's the black agenda.
Wow.
Right? 1972, in the State House in Indiana, they passed a law. It's called the buffer zone law, that you couldn't create a city next to another major city. Right? From a competitive standpoint.
Okay.
Right? So a town was created a block away from Gary. Right? There was an annexation of land. They created a town called Maryville. So the term white flight took place. So
they went to the towns.
All the businesses, the banks, a lot of the white residents went south. And that's when you start seeing the decay of the tax base, because property tax owners were leaving. And the school systems were shrinking. And it was just a domino effect year after year after year by laws, policies. Another law that allowed U.S. Steel to stop paying property taxes. The largest, I don't want to say stop paying it, they were able to self-assess. So that means that they can tell you how much they should be paying.
Right.
And as a businessman, you would want to pay less.
Right.
Right. And so they're not paying their fair share. And when that happens, that shifts to the residents. So I use all this to say that these are examples of how state policies has impacted one city that has been impacted by the national economy and all of that, on top of racist policies historically. And right now, we're just trying to climb out of that hole.
Right. So I want to ask you about solutions, right? But first, I do want to say that the problems and the issues are so vast. Sometimes I get lost on, we need to do this, but this need to happen, but they need to do this and this and that. But one thing I do want, like, for any black man listening, self-accountability. You know what I'm saying? We need to get our shit together as a people, first and foremost, you know? Like, people like you, to me, you're an angel, because most of us don't know shit about politics and how the system works, and we need somebody in there fighting, but we need to be getting, credit together, insurance, just all the normal things that we wasn't taught, you know what I'm saying? That we had no knowledge of, and, qualify ourselves for good jobs, get trade school, whatever, you know what I mean? We need to be strong, because we're not strong right now, And I feel like as black men, black people collectively getting on a level, right, the consciousness will rise as well. And, people will have better ammunition to approach the government and come together collectively like they did, like those people did back in 72 or we just said 72 to, like, all right, let's put together a plan. It's really like, we meet with a lot of important people, and I met with some, very important person that I really love and respect not long ago, and I'm not gonna say any names, but someone else said something wild shit in the media, and I'm asking him, like, they didn't run that past you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like with prominent black leaders, I feel like it got to be checks and balances. It's got to be a commission. You know what I'm saying? So we can all be on a unified front, and all be on the same page,
It's one piece I would add to that, and it's the knowledge of self.
Yes.
And
that's the main thing.
Knowledge of self. I have two boys. One is 10, one is 12. And my father, I really didn't grow up with my father, right? And I don't blame him now. Because as a man, I can understand. Can we cuss on here? Can we cuss on here?
I encourage profanity.
I understand the shit that he endured
Right.
that made him what he is today, that I originally didn't want to fuck with him. My father was he is a Vietnam veteran, right? That war that traumatized him, right? He was badly injured. He received a Purple Heart and Silver Star. Right? I didn't know any of this until I became a grown ass man.
Wow.
And I read his discharge papers. And I'm like, my father's a fucking hero. He'll never say it. Right? But I grew up resenting. Now I'm like, my father's sick. You know?
Yeah.
He was addicted to drugs and to alcohol. I say that to say now, like, that's been my driver to be like, I got to give my children something different.
Right.
Right. So the more I even come to more knowledge of who I am as a black man and who we are as black men, I'm like, damn, there's nothing literally we can't do and dominate. And I'm saying it in a positive way,
Right.
in terms of learning about a new craft or a new field of endeavor. And that's where I'm trying to get my boys. I want to be there to teach them to say there's no limits.
100. Listen, I'm with you. I'm a big dreamer, and I do the things that I dream. You know, but back to the knowledge of self component. You know, me and Sean, this is my brother right here, and we you know, we uncover all these things in history, and we like, this is crazy that this is not taught, right? So knowledge of self is important. So for a black person to have, I feel like collectively, because we got a lot of problems, right? A lot of self-hatred, you know, hating each other. And that was designed and architected on a plantation, right? There was actual methods to, you know, divide and conquer. So we have to reprogram ourselves. Part of the psychological warfare that we endured was, you know, us listening to the marketing that we're animals, that we're, you know, we're worthless. We're, you know, they using scriptures in the Bible of slavery, like, see,
It's supposed to happen.
right, just obey. When you go to heaven, when you die, you go to heaven.
You get rewarded.
But you gotta, you know. So we you know, we thought we was inferior. We had an inferiority complex and took it out on each other because we hated what we saw in our brothers because it looked like us. It didn't look like the man in the house who also looked like the man in the church house in that picture, the European Jesus, who they taught was God. You know what I'm saying? So it was a masterful plan, but a wicked plan. You know what I mean? And it worked. Man. We need to reprogram with knowledge like history.
Right.
And when we really know how rich our history is, we will have more respect for ourselves and for each other. And the world will have more respect for us because they don't know either.
Right.
This atrocity was not just on us, it's on everybody. You know what I'm saying? The disease of white supremacy don't just affect us negatively, it affects everyone negatively. Right. You know, so because you're trying to subdue a rich, powerful source of culture, of knowledge, of wisdom, you know, of love, of strength, of all of that, you know? And look at all of the shit that we've been through in this country and look at our achievements. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if that slab of concrete wasn't on top of our souls.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
But we bust through anyway. Yeah. But let's peel that back. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of why, one of the reasons why I'm working on this documentary. I'm passionate about this, you know, and it's to present history, right, in a loving way. It's not to be like, see, we did this, and y'all didn't do this, and you did this stuff. It's not that. Right. It's just presenting facts. Right. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta be a fucking weirdo to deny facts. You know what I'm saying? So, but this shit is beautiful. It's dope. It's dope. But some of it is ugly. Yeah. But let's deal with it. Yeah. Let's go ahead and deal with it. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. We deal with it, and then we like, fuck it. That's wild. You know, we could talk about it and move forward. Right. But I feel like if we're not able to have these discussions, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to just stay like this forever.
Yeah.
Because thus far, nothing has changed. And then I have people say, well, you made it. Look at you. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah.
I'm one out of how many? I'm lucky. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Collectively, shit is fucked up. Because when the George Floyd situation happened, that looked just like Do the Right Thing movie 30 years prior.
Yeah.
Which was echoing things that was happening then. You know what I'm saying? It was identical. 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And then, I could pull up Malcolm X fighting for the same issues 30 years before that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when does it stop?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And true indeed, white men have been killed unjustly at the hands of police as well. Mm-hmm. We should fight for that shit too.
Right. It's a culture.
But let's be honest. It doesn't happen on that side as much as it happens on our side.
Not.
It's just, let's not be silly about it. You know what I'm saying? So, that's something that, let's just fix it. Because look, I know a lot of cops, they're my boys. But it's funny because when all of this stuff happened, they look different because they're acting different and they're angry and they're like, a lot of them are on edge because they're like, because they're not like that.
Yeah.
But they assume that we all look at them like I'm like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I love you. You're my guy. I gotta reassure you, you're my guy, bro. Like,
yeah.
That's not your fault. Like, I don't look at you like that. But they seem defensive of the whole shit because they just assume we all look at them as devils or as killers and shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
But the one thing I'll say about that though, and I was talking to a mentor of mine, and that's why we had to be careful when we talk about reform. Mm-hmm. I've been struggling with how do you reform a system that was never designed for you in the first place? How do you reform something that the creation of it was to capture you and to
let me interject so they know what we're talking about. There used to not be a police force. What we know now as a police force started as a slave patrol.
Right.
The badges said slave patrol. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. So what he's saying is absolutely right. Reform it, back to calling it slave patrol. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you're right. And we have to take it a step further. The Constitution had nothing to do with us as free men.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It didn't even have nothing to do with women either. It was for white men. And my white homies, I'm not shitting on y'all. This was 300 something years ago. Things need to be changed now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we should acknowledge that, and something need to be redone with inclusion of everyone here. Mm-hmm. Now, think about the morale of this country if we all had that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I already know a lot of people will be like, fuck that, that's our history. And I'm like, okay, and our history back then was fucked up.
Yeah.
And that part of your history was egregious. Are you proud of that? Mm. You know what I'm saying? Mm. Are you proud of your family having 50 slaves?
Yeah.
You can't be. No good person is. I wouldn't be.
I had a conversation with a colleague of mine. He's a senator. And he called me during the height of the national unrest after the George Floyd.
Right.
I thought it started out with he empathized, right? He was like, man, Eddie, what can we do to address this issue? I want to help when we get into session. I'm like, wow, I wasn't expecting this from him. He said, because we got to stop the rioting.
That was his own. Yeah, that was it.
I said, let's push pause real quick. Mm-hmm. I said, number one, I appreciate you even acknowledging that something needs to be done. I said, but what you're witnessing is not rioting, right? You're witnessing a communities that's have not been heard for decades, for generations,
centuries
on this issue.
Yeah.
And yes, there may be incidents in communities where things get vandalized, burned down. But even then, I think there's provocateurs that's
implanted
in there to help spike those things, and it's been proven to be
Yeah.
the case in some situations. But I shared that story to say that the longer we talked, he revealed to me and he shared with me, I don't have any friends that's black. I didn't grow up around anyone that's black. All I get is what I see on TV. And I was like, okay. So I've always felt that it's my job as someone that's in the state house. I don't have to put you on blast every time, right? We can disagree in a civil manner, and I can pull you to the side and like, look, this is what's going to happen if you pass this law to us. And they'd be like, I didn't see that. I didn't recognize that. Majority of them will acknowledge that.
Right.
Now we meet at a center point and we can negotiate something. But there are some that's just like, well, I don't agree with you, and they just going to go on their own. So again, to your point, it has to be a conversation. You got to move past the unease and difficulty, and we got to figure out how to address these issues. That's going to be as a collective, as a nation, but we also got to do that within our own communities as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the knowledge itself comes in. And then, just, empowerment, but empowerment in the form of like education, health, just nailing down, like bullet pointing some real good values and people just buckling down on them and just embracing that, and people need to see you like a cool person in the government. You know what I'm saying? Because look, you think of senators as, there's a brother out here, one of these districts that I was trying to get in touch with to, I know he sees my DMs. Like I have 10 times more followers than him. So see but because he's a conservative, he figures I'm trying to be hot with him, and I'm not. I just want to really dialogue with him and see. I could probably put a lot of money behind you and a lot of power behind you. You know what I'm saying? But he's just see people like him. He won't even hear me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and he's just out there doing the song and dance of let me speak about black conservatives for a minute. a black man wanting to represent the conservative be a conservative, represent the Republican Party. There's nothing wrong with that. You do what you feel. I respect free thinkers. You know what I mean? But what I see is like you're black, you represent, you're conservative, you're Trump supporter, but all the issues that you talk about are against black people. Is negating the black struggle, is negating the black cry.
Right.
Is so it's like, are you a racist? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or you're not talking about anything any policies, nothing.
Yeah.
You're talking against the George Floyd thing, you're talking against everything that pains us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's really interesting.
I got some friends that's black conservatives.
But are they just honestly conservatives, or because here's the thing, bro.
Yeah.
I posted on my YouTube channel the other day, Dr. Clark Anderson breaking down the difference between Uncle Tom and Sambo, right? Because people think Uncle Tom is the bad one, but it actually
Sambo.
It was Sambo. Uncle Tom was like, he was a good dude. He was in the house, but he was making sure, he wouldn't whoop the black women. He was like, he would give other people his work so they didn't get whoopings. Like, he was a good dude. But Sambo was the one. Boss, them niggas out there plotting to do, you know what I'm saying? So snitching, and they get exalted, and it happens now. It happens. Listen, how attractive is this for a nefarious group, right? To see, this black man, he's going against black things. This is beautiful. Right. We could have him say it. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Fox News. Come on, this. We'll exalt you. You know what I'm saying? So people just dig deeper and deeper into it. Like, yeah. Because they're getting paid. They're getting likes and all this instant gratification. And I'm like, excuse me? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that easy?
I think it's some that just have a different philosophy on how to get to an end.
That I respect.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. But what I see,
not all of them. I think you.
yeah.
you
But what I
100%
see
correct, too.
is something different. It's like, bro, you're not talk about conservative values.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why you only talk against black people?
Yeah.
That's
Talk
not the
about
same.
values,
That's
right.
not the same. Talk about talk about. There's plenty of good shit that Trump did. They don't talk about. They just
Yeah.
talk about everything that's a hot topic against black people.
Well, I
You know
mean,
what I'm saying?
that's media, right?
media.
I mean, I think the media masters what they know is going to trigger a certain audience.
Right. Sean, let me ask you this. When you see, like, I don't know if you even pay attention to the goofiness, but when you see a black conservative, right, like kind of like always going against black issues, what do you think of that? Do you think anything of it, or?
No, I think it's exactly what you said, and I am aware of it. I'm aware of a few of them, people that we know, that we don't have to name, but it's just, it seems like you taste a little bit of success with that narrative. Mm-hmm. They tried it one time or kind of made their opinion known, got adoration, exaltation, whatever you want to call it, got some response that they felt was positive, and then they deeper and deeper entrench themselves in it, and then literally it becomes the only thing they talk about.
Is there reality?
What's the latest way to suppress the negative experience of the black man in America?
Right.
What else can they put down?
And seeing what they're doing, what the Sambos are doing, is soothing to white people who don't want to acknowledge anything. It's like, nah, we fine. They stupid. We're fine. Everything's fair. Like, look, I got a good job. You know what I'm saying? That's
We always going to have them among us, though.
right.
Unfortunately,
but this is the thing. The smart white people don't respect those guys. Well, none of them respect those guys, right? But the good white people won't even deal with them. You know what I'm saying? So, but the other ones will use them up as much as they can.
Yeah.
And I had to tell a brother I know, I'm not saying he's a Sambo, but it looks like it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I'm saying that in a factual way.
Right.
The ones that are always protecting the strong. You're part of the weak, but you protect the strong.
Wow.
And I don't say weak in a demeaning way, but I'm saying in a literal way. Black people are weak in this country with literally 14% of the population, and we're all spread apart. And, we don't have our shit together collectively. So we're weak. And the strong, they protect. Hey, boss. Just like on the plantation,
right.
when Master's sick, the house nigga, like, we sick, boss. We sick. You know what I'm saying? So
we sick syndrome.
Yeah. So, and I had to tell one brother, like, bro, get off of this Trump. That ain't our fight.
Yeah.
You're brilliant. Like, you're powerful. That's not our fight. These two rich white dudes fighting for an argument. That's not your fight, bro. They got it. They got it.
But that's why it's important, bro, that we have an agenda.
And we need a council. We need a council.
Here's why I'm concerned to have a council, because they always take out our leaders.
Let them. Let them. Because right now, all right, so you're right. So all of our leaders thus far, they taking out all of our leaders. There's one left, right? I don't want to put his name out there, but they can't take him out because information travels too fast. We'll know. Just like we know from Malcolm to Martin, everybody we know 20 years later.
Right.
Freedom of Information Act, all these things come out, COINTELPRO.
Yeah.
But nowadays it happens too fast, information. And they would make him a martyr, But they've done tactics to try to make him not serious, like he's a racist, he's an anti-Semite, whatever. That's their way of assassinating our leaders now by character. But now, let them try, because I believe in just being honest and truthful and doing the right thing, and there's nothing to worry about.
Right.
Like me personally, the older my kids get, the more I'm walking into that real fight, because if I die, it's okay. My kids is old enough to take, they're good.
Right.
But I don't think that's the play for them because it would just be too damn obvious. You know what I'm saying? We all have cell phone. Just information is just,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and good, you amplify our voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a sacrifice I'm more than willing to make, me personally.
Yeah,
I can't speak for everybody, but I'm down. You know what I mean?
You knocking on my door with this one. So this summer, man, as we were seeing all of these demonstrations take place, and I was becoming more vocal on the state level on what we should be doing. And I received backlash. I was getting those emails. I was getting those calls like, shut up, nigga. Shut up.
From constituents or just random people? Okay.
Right? Stay in your lane. This ain't got nothing to do with you, right? And I was sitting in my office at the crib one day, and I'm like, you know what? It's like a certain peace come over you when you like, I'm fine if I die over this. Because you know you're doing the right thing, right? So I agree with you when you say, let it happen. I think as far as we as leaders, how do we prepare that next generation to be more in tune to the things that we may not have been, it took us a while to get up to speed on, right? Like there's certain things that should be taught in school, historically.
I got that part covered.
I got to hear this one, yeah.
The documentary I'm working on. So I've been working on it since I think May or June, right? So, but it's a lot of research, so it's taking, I'm taking my time, I'm not rushing. But the school ain't gonna cover a lot of this stuff.
Right.
So we'll do it. And the vision for it is gonna work. You know what I mean? I'm gonna come to you for interviews, you know what I'm saying? So I want you a part of it. But it's gonna be education, but it's not going to be the boring in 1862.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Everything we do is fly. So it's going to be fly, but it's going to be fucking factual. And that's what's going to make it so beautiful that it's going to be covered by hard facts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be such a revelation. It's going to be refreshing, not just to black people, but to white people as well, just to learn real history. You know what I'm saying? And white people have done some amazing things. Like there's a lot of genius in them. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of genius in us as well. And it's swept to the side. But we're gonna bring that out.
It's needed, man.
It's needed. Yeah. And it's bro. I love what I'm doing because I'm learning so much that I had no idea of. You know what I'm saying? So. And it's empowering. The truth is empowering,
Yeah.
And like you said, like the calmness of knowing the truth and sitting firm in it, it's a great thing, So that's I'm not worried about the schools, especially look, my son does school, my kids do school at home now. So I'm the school.
Yeah, everybody.
You know what I mean? So that they fucked that up. You know what I'm saying? So. And plus, my son came to me last year with his history book like that. This is dumb. He was 14. He said, this is dumb. I was like, why? He said, they try to teach that we started as slaves and that's it. That's all in his history book.
That's where it starts.
I like, son, I know. But,
as
long as you know, so.
That's crazy.
But I don't know why. I do know why. I have an idea of why things are taught the way they're taught. But this is 2020. We're too important to this nation to be treated like we've been treated all of these years. And no, we're not. I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to forget about it.
Right.
Never forget the Holocaust. Never forget slavery. And never forget the African Holocaust in the Congo. 10 million Africans slaughtered. You know what I'm saying? And enslaved. So, but I'm not trying to rub shit in nobody's face. I'm just factually bringing things up that have never been talked about. And then after the education, not just education, but the proliferation of the education, of the information, then we could talk about some reparations.
Right.
Because I'm not dropping that either.
Yeah.
That's very fair.
Very.
It's beyond fair. You know what I'm saying?
Very.
If
To
somebody
this day.
get treated bad in a restaurant, they get a lawsuit and they get
To this day.
to this day. You know what I'm saying? So, and I used to be of the notion of like, fuck a reparation. We don't need, because that's easier. That's an easier position to hold in this country.
Well, you know what? Reparation doesn't have to look like what we're trained to think what it should look like. It doesn't have to be just a flat out check.
Yeah, that shouldn't be it at all.
Right.
That's not what I'm envisioning.
Could it be home ownership? Can it be free education? Could it be all of those foundational things that help build generational wealth, to help undergird families and things like that?
The council need to sit and discuss and come up with reparations A, B, and a C, and those are the options. And then Congress, y'all can let us know which one y'all want to do.
Yeah, I think
That's what we have to put it together.
So I wanted to ask you this: what's your thoughts? Because it's an older book. Came out in the '90s. Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, right? So I've been reading that, right? I've been digging deeper into it, and I'm like, why haven't we done this? Like
the same. Why haven't we done this?
Yeah.
Why haven't we seen, like, when we talk about Trump doing certain things for politics, right? Lil Wayne, picture with Lil Wayne, and the other rapper, and you need to be meeting with Dr. Claude Anderson.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
who you should be. Let me see you with a picture with him. All right, I'm gonna get some people. I'm gonna get you some votes.
Yeah.
And listen, he lost. He lost because black people didn't vote for him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think this is a wake up call for the Republican Party, right? That black votes matter. You may not say Black Lives Matter. You don't want to say that, but black votes fucking matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the nation, white America, is split.
Well, the Democratic Party knew that. They always know that. And
But see, this is where my gripe is with the Democratic Party.
They take it for granted.
Exactly. Like Biden's team they said they'll meet with Ice Cube after. I'm like, why? Why after? And there's a lot of things that happen on the Democrats. All right, I'm gonna give you my breakdown on race with the Republican and Democratic Party. All right, let me start with the Republicans, y'all. Take your notes. All right, so the Republican Party. Well, let's go back in history. The Democratic Party used to be called the Party for the White Man. There's the White Man's Party, right? The party of the Ku Klux Klan, right? And then the Negro Party was over on the Republican side, right? That changed when the Democrats had no choice but to abandon this anti-segregation stronghold, right? They were losing all the time because there's good people out there that's like, nah, this is not okay.
Right.
So they dropped that and they lost their base of racist voters, right? So Richard Nixon saw an opportunity. Smart dude, evil but smart guy. The racists in the South didn't have a political home, and the religious in the Northeast didn't have a political home either.
Right.
See, and then all of that. So when he started to pander to those two groups, that's when the Republican Party kind of took a change, right? The optics of it. Now, Nixon was a racist. Is well known that he was a racist, right? Is audio of him and Reagan going hard. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm not saying everybody in the Republican parties are racist, right? So, but a lot of racists start following them. You know what I'm saying? So then here we have the Democrats, right? So they start taking on more issues that it seemed like we're about. You know what I'm saying? So every person that runs as a Republican, you have to pander to your base, right? Now, historically, good politicians, they're not gonna be like, yo, we ain't fuck them niggas, and you can't say that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they're gonna dog whistle. They're gonna do it in their way to where their people know what they're talking about. They have an out. I didn't say that. Welfare queen, that could be anything. That could be anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Just very broad.
Right. So, but Trump ain't that eloquent or politically savvy, so his look more rambunctious and racist. Appears to be that way. So the way that he panders, listen, I had to tell people all the time. They be like, "Oh, he's a racist." I'm like, bro, every white man that runs as a Republican, we call racist. You know what I'm saying? Without knowing anything about him. And nobody called Trump racist before he ran. And you know, when I started naming some of the things that he did that a racist shouldn't do, like first step, classifying Ku Klux Klan as terror, whatever. You know,
Well, the Central Park 5, that was pretty damn racist.
okay, but think about it though. Think about it. Now, a black person, that's close to our heart because those were black boys. Right. But let's say it was a white group of boys that's alleged to have raped a black woman. We going hard, right? Without knowing any facts. Let's be honest. Yeah. We'll go hard without knowing any facts. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being subjective.
Right.
I mean, objective. I'm being honest. We would all go hard without knowing facts, right? So that's what he did.
He went hard.
He went hard. But he also went hard for Mike Tyson, a black man.
How so?
He supported him before the rape, well, during the whole charge case, and even after. He went hard for him. You know what I'm saying? Stood by him the whole time. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. So I don't, because here's the thing. We can't be ultra sensitive to everybody that's critical of us, because then we want to be treated as equals. So you got to be critical of me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If I can't check my brother, then you ain't my brother. If I can't tell you, like, you out of line, bro. You know what I'm saying? I want you to come tell me I'm out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? I know that you care about me. Okay, so the way he's a big, think about this. He's a billionaire New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker. He's a billionaire. New York is the most diverse. New York is a country. New York is the world. You know what I'm saying? Every culture in its purest is in New York.
It's a snapshot.
Yeah. So he's a billionaire New Yorker who's also a celebrity who his agenda is money, hanging out with his famous friends, bad bitches. Not racist motherfuckers in the South. Not the Ku Klux Klan, not people in church with the Bible, and you know what I'm saying? It's clearly political strategy to win.
That's not his base.
He don't care about none of that. But they eat it up. The same way I see Biden pandering to black people. You know what I'm saying? When he said to Charlemagne, like, if you don't black, vote for me, y'all ain't black. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, y'all cool with that?
It's horrible.
Y'all cool with that? When Nancy Pelosi and they all took the knee with that little Kunta Kinte. I was like, why is this okay? This is like mockery. You know what I'm saying? But they're pandering to black people, like, yeah. So, and I don't want to go hard on Kamala Harris, but I read all into her stuff. And I've been through the system, so I've dealt with women just like her. Just like that. You know what I'm saying? She's scary. A black racist, a black that go hard for the master is worse than the white people going hard on us. You know what I'm saying? Because we trust them. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but I'm not going to get into all of that, I don't even care. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying that to say everybody's getting lied to on that big macro level. You know what I'm saying? Where it matters is where you're at. You know what I'm saying? On a state level. I see so many people, I'm a gym rat and I'm a business owner. So I see people, like a lot of gyms, like guys from gyms going hard about their gyms getting shut down during COVID and this, that, and the third. And it's becoming political. And I'm just like, guys, like, y'all going so hard and you're still on the Trump side, but Trump he's not opening your gym. He's not.
That's on the state level.
That's on the state level.
Yeah.
So why y'all doing that? You know what I'm saying? So, people's fight is being put in the wrong place. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if I lived in Indiana, I'd be, I'm going to be traveling what did I say? Wyoming, the end of this month.
Montana.
Not Wyoming, Montana. Okay. What is it called? Whitefish. I'm going to Whitefish. I'm going to Texas. I'm going to Georgia. and then maybe Utah. But I looked at Indiana, just some of the laws, to see if that's a place of interest to me. Because I'm looking for land. You know what I'm saying? Possibly build a home, but I want land. I want some farm type shit.
Yeah.
But Indiana law, the drug laws are horrible.
Oh, yeah.
And I see you fighting for it.
Yeah.
But I see that they're not progressive at all with that stuff.
No, we have a long ways to go for that.
And that's something that I'm interested in, in terms of like, possible businesses in certain areas of that. So, but there is not happening.
Illinois, Michigan.
They're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely check out Michigan. Those states are butting up against Indiana.
Dusco Ranch is in Wyoming, right?
Yeah.
I might look out there or something. I'll be their neighbor. Like, oh, y'all live here? Oh, you live here
Hey,
too?
let me tell you about Wyoming, man. So the first time I went was early this year. I went to Kanye's ranch. And
did he invite you out? Like how did that? Okay.
And it's beautiful out there. It's like the terrain is almost serene and
It's untouched.
like you feel like a divine presence almost, right? Because it's like untouched. A lot of it feels extremely raw and natural.
Right.
So Dane bought a ranch out there too.
Okay.
A nice sized ranch out there. I'm walking around and I'm like, I keep smelling sage. It's sage every damn way. It was like
It grows there?
yeah, it's like wild sage, just bushes
That's wild.
of wild sage.
I was at his house earlier. I put some snacks in y'all cupboard. I seen the sage in there. They had the sage. Yeah.
Man, you just reach down, just grab a bundle of sage and just
Wow.
I just rub it in my hands. But it's beautiful out there. And Cody is like 10,000 people, the population. Right?
I like that energy. You know why? And you know why you felt that divinity? Because you felt yourself. Because I learned this in school. I had this professor, man. I love this guy. He really helped shift my mind into, being more open and digging deep for truth. And,
Right.
But he said this one time. He said, especially in big cities, he said, we live in a sea of vibrations,
Right.
like fish live in a sea of water. Without really, they're just there. They exist in it like we exist in. You walk into a room and say people are talking bad about you, right? They say shut up before you get in there. You feel it. You know what I'm saying? And you feel the opposite. You feel that pleasantness if that's the vibe. He said when you're away, when you're like on a mountain or somewhere where you're not bouncing off those vibrations and other people's energies, he said it's just very calming and still. He said creative people have a hard time creating in situations like that. I said, I don't believe that. So I remember I went to Arizona State and I went up to the mountain, to South Mountain, to the top. And I used to write poetry. Like I like to write. I just do music, all of that. And I tried to write up there and I couldn't.
Wow.
And I realized I didn't have nothing to bounce off of. Because I bounce off of other people. But with the same token, creatively, I like to be around people. But for my peace, I like to be around nothing.
Yeah.
Feeling that God energy, being tapped into that. Because I feel like you're God for yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And me and him. But when what did Jada Pinkett say?
Entangled.
We're entangled in everybody's energy. You know what I'm saying?
The entanglement.
We devils and owls and you know what I'm saying? All that shit.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah.
So I have something that I think is pretty relevant. You remember we had a conversation, Mike and I were talking about how in the black community, but really just in all minority communities, there needs to be an increase in desire and accolades given to people who excel in careers that are not entertainment based, whether that's athletics, music, or movies or sport.
Right,
yeah. So whatever it is, if it's entertainment based, things that aren't that. The sciences,
math,
politics, right?
political science.
So I bring that up because
law.
I think this is a great moment for us to put you forward as an example of a man who has built a career and is continuing to. Hopefully, we want to see you continue to climb in the political world. to know that that's a viable option. You can help shape the future if you're in your job.
Yeah.
When you're doing entertainment, you're bringing people pleasure and you get compensated for that. But you're literally, the things that you do every day are helping to shape the future. It's helping to set a precedent and undo things that have been done in the past. It's a fantastic opportunity that you have on a daily basis. And kids who are coming up, Elijah, Mike's son, is like a really smart young man, has a good head on his shoulders. That could be something that he gets into. Like, you know what? I want to be part of that. There should be the competition level in entertainment is really high.
Yeah.
There's so many talented athletes, rappers, actors, artists of all kinds. The competition is fierce.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, but I imagine it's not as fierce, to be honest with you, in politics, because I don't think that the black and minority communities are being represented the way that they should be in that space. I think they're gravitating other places.
Here's the issue, and I appreciate your comments. I sincerely do. But here's the issue. I was mentioning to Mike, I ran for governor last year. I learned a tremendous amount about politics in general, right, on a statewide level. And people said I was stupid, I was crazy for jumping out there. A freshman legislator wanted to run for governor. I'll do it again in terms of I don't regret doing it. Reason why I stepped out, when you learn how much money it takes to continue to run for office, it's ridiculous.
Well, here's another thing. Here's another angle to that. So that you said, here's the thing. That's a thing. There's no thing, because here's the thing. Me personally, like, the more when I started getting more involved and learning about politics to this extent, I'm like, yo, who can I put some money behind? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm with that 1,000,000%. And the successful brothers and sisters out there in any community, we need to start getting behind some of those shining stars, like my son. You know, this dude is he got a Hemi for a brain. You know what I'm saying? He's powerful, but get behind some of these people and make sure, like, all right, we all gonna make sure you good. You know what I'm saying?
That happened.
You don't need a job. Go back, stay in school. We got this covered. And then, you know, and we'll fund his people's political career.
Right.
I would put money in that with no hesitation. And I got a lot of friends with a lot of money that will put money in someone we think can be powerful. You know what I'm saying? This is something that we could discuss with the council.
Yeah.
That we could put together.
Real.
You know what I'm saying? For real.
That's real. Because when I went out to Wyoming, and hopefully I can share the story on here, part of the conversation I had with Dame and Kanye, this is when he announced that he was running for president and stuff. I'm never the person to tell someone they can't run for office. I'm not going to tell you that. Right. However, I did tell him that the timing was off. Right. And I was giving him a scenario about why I got out of the governor's race, and I was doing extremely well. There was some hangups within our own party that prohibit some of the resources to flow, right? And he said, "Why you get out the race?" I said, "Money." He was like, "I ain't got that problem." I was like, "Damn, you got a free black man that got the means, got the resources, and he said he want to run for president, and damn, he can do it, right?" But the reality is, you got a lot of good people that should be running for office that get turned off from running for office because of what they see, what they hear in politics, and think that and I hate to use the term politician, right? But historically, that's not a favorable career. And it shouldn't be a career. It should be a service. Right? That's how it should always be approached. And at the end of the day, everything I do and everything I try to center around specifically, I know my calling in life is to turn my city around. Period. Like, I know God put me in the positions I'm in to help turn my city around. I'm not saying I'm the one to do it. I know my role in doing it. And how do I empower folks that I know all they need is that support system around them?
Correct.
When I was growing up, I had families that was heavily in the dope game, heavily in the drugs and violence. and they sheltered me away from that, right? Because they knew something that I didn't know at that time. They seen something, and you can ask Brother Duke. He was part of that culture and my family and friends that was like, no, you can't come here. You can't go there. Get out of here. I'll play football. And football was kind of like my way out. But for young kids, but the generation like the 21 and older that's looking to leave certain communities because they don't see a pathway. Right. You don't have elected officials that's willing to mentor them and teach them about the system and the process. But these young folks, they have great ideas. They're innovative, they're creative, and they're passionate about the issues that they're passionate about. So how do we build a system around them? I think that's something we got to do. My wife texted me. She's like, "Where you at?" Because she's just finished shopping. All right. All right. So look, man, I really appreciate you coming down.
I appreciate
but
you, bro.
Let Brother Dame and Mr. West know that we need a council.
Yeah.
For real, we need a council. We need a council, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You said a word, man. You said a commission.
A commission. We need a commission.
We started a commission.
Is that right?
I'm gonna show you the information when we.
I need in because I'm working on a declaration.
Oh wow!
So you know.
I'm gonna send you the information.
Okay, cool. But this was a pleasure, man. Like we really appreciate you coming down. I know there's a lot of traffic in Cali.
No, that's all good.
We should get a workout in before you leave.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm here till Monday, man.
Oh, that's perfect. So maybe get dinner or something.
Yep.
You know. But yeah, thank you, man. This was very enlightening, and maybe we could do more of this.
Man, I gotta give you some praise real quick, man. But it was. We wrapped up session. When we're in session in the legislature, I'm away from home January through April, Monday through Friday. Then I go home. It was the last day of session. I went home and COVID hit and the country just shut down. Boom.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody in the house, the wife, the kids, we don't know what's going on in the world, right? Everybody is still trying to figure it out. And I'm just watching TV, going through my YouTube. I was like, man, I need to check my diet, man. I need to change how I'm eating.
Yeah.
And I seen this video of you showing people how to cook some. One thing I do know, he don't like kale. That's what I see.
I hate kale.
It was like I seen that you was making some type of a dish and you put it in the oven, right?
Veggies, yep.
And man, I made it.
That's the only way I can eat kale. If I bake them. Yeah.
I made it, and I made it for the family, and
the kids liked it, right?
They loved it, right?
Yeah.
So I started watching. Then I got back into the gym, right? I had an injury. I got into an accident, so I haven't been in the gym lately.
Right.
But I'm telling you, for the last 2 months, I was consistent, and I can feel a mental change in me, and it changed my productivity in work, and it changed how I served my community.
Check this out. This is crazy you saying this. Yo, Uncle T, you. So we had a conversation this morning. Like, that's my big bro. It is what it is. We've been friends for like 20-something years, right?
Okay.
And that dude got to hit me up here too. And I said, but T, you know what? I said, I'm saying this with all due respect. Like, you're my elder, and I'm saying this in a respectful way. But you haven't unlocked certain levels in yourself because you don't have that consistent physical stress you put yourself under. You don't have to be lifting weights. It could be running every day, but it's just something hard. Do over and conquer it till it ain't hard no more and find something else to do. So, if you, and now we like, I'm a TV and movie nerd. Like, it's a show called Billions. You ever saw Billions? Billions is so dope. It's a Showtime show, but the antagonist and the protagonist are super. One's a district attorney in New York, and the other one's like this billionaire hedge fund dude. And they both work out in the show. They both meditate. They both work out. That's two things consistent with both of them. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that was important for that to be in the show. It just shows the tenet of like powerful people. They push themselves outside of all of the shit they got going on. Like tonight, I gotta go home and squat. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm committed to doing it every day. So, but it's like, look,
it's a lot of shit to do with your time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's comfortable to go home and lay down and chill, but pushing yourself all the time, it just unlocks things. I can't even explain it, but it helps level us up. You know,
I can't say it enough, man. The type of work, even in the political world, is stressful.
I can imagine, bro.
It's been times where I'm literally, when I first got sworn in, right? And, you know, you put your hand on the Bible, you swear, you took the oath, and you sit down in your seat, and the first vote came up that I ever had to vote for. I don't remember what it was. I can literally feel like a weight come on me.
Right.
Now, it may have been I've done it myself in my mind, but it was when that yes and no popped on the screen, and I knew I had to pick yes or no, and the people that elected me sent me here to represent them. Right. And that was my first time having to make a decision. I felt the pressure. Mm-hmm. Right. But my mentor told me how she was in the office for 34 years. Mm-hmm. And I was 34 when I got elected. She was like, you got to learn how to compartmentalize these things, because I'm the type of person, I get
it's your life.
All in.
Yeah,
when I'm in something, I'm all in. And I'm taking it home.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm studying, I'm reading it, and I become it, right?
I think that's kind of good, though.
Yeah, it's needed.
I think. What do you think, Sean?
I think it's the only way to be that person.
But you got to have balance, too, because I started neglecting myself.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like you staying up late, you drinking the coffee.
Yeah, no, I consider the right routines to be part of your duty, because you need to be of strong body and mind to fulfill your role. So I actually think you taking care of yourself is part of the job. Mm-hmm. Because if you're our guy, if we had elected you, then we expect you to be, not just representing our interests, but also representing us too. Right. I want the best person up there. I want to be proud of that guy, the way he looks and acts and behaves. And I want to say he's an exemplary version of a human.
Correct. Yeah. When I was young and I would like just go to different churches, just, exploring different church homes, there's a lot of places I was like, nah, I'm sizing up the pastor. I'm like, he's overweight. Like, you can't control that part of your life. So nah.
Wow.
And I was a young, like 18, 19 with these thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
real.
It's a real thing. It's all real. Like our physical health is something we literally control. Mm-hmm. So if we don't control that, that's all I got to go off of is what you say and what I see. Mm-hmm. If I see you're a glutton or you know what I'm saying, you're a slothful person,
right.
I'm like, I don't trust anything else. You can hide that. You can fix that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the other stuff is hard, I think. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
How do you know what the community wants? Because the community is not one person or 5 or 10. Right. It's, in your case, isn't it like 120,000 or over 100,000 people?
You got to listen, but not just on social media. You got to go to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have some kind of a meeting system where people can come and speak with you?
Before COVID, I would have town halls, right? And a lot of politicians don't like to make themselves available.
They only do it at election time.
Right. Yeah. That's true. They go to the churches during election time, and but I find it easier if I make myself available and you know where I stand on the issues because you've tested me and you questioned me about it. And there's no misunderstanding, right? But if we want the same thing, how do we get there is always a question. So I have town halls, forums.
How often do you do them?
When I'm in session, like I said, like
you're gone.
I'm going, but
when there's what does that mean for the?
So I don't know what that means. I live 2 hours away from the State House.
Okay.
So I'm in Indianapolis at the state capitol.
In session.
Okay. Right. So when I said Gary in Northwest Indiana is Chicago, literally we're the Chicago media market. So my district, they won't know what's going on downstate unless I come back and tell them.
Okay.
Because the media is not going to report thoroughly what's going on. So I just feel compelled to have my social media is just pumping content and information of what's happening, what's taking place, so they know, okay, this bill is going to impact us this way, or this law, et cetera, et cetera.
So you give them the play-by-play of what's happening, and then you allow them to communicate to you.
Absolutely. Because they a lot of them don't know they can come to the State House. I'm like, this is your house.
Right. We pay for it.
Yeah, it's your property taxes, your taxes pay for us to be here. They pay for this house. So you can come testify on a bill if you don't like it. Mm-hmm. You can come testify and support something if you like it. Okay. And people don't know that.
Well, check this out, Senator. We have an organization called Dirty Angels, in which we just go to different cities. We haven't done anything since COVID because everything's been shut down. There's no events, but each event in that city, we on average we get about 300 meals, and we go out into the slums and feed people.
Wow!
And we just round up people off social media, like, yo, this is the address. If y'all want to come help, let's go. Gang of people come out, and after that we all go break bread, eat, talk, and that's it. So we definitely want to come to your city, and if you can join us, and
absolutely, man.
Next time you running, but even forget that, just as an ongoing thing. Whenever we come out and we support,
we're doing something on Thanksgiving with Dame. Dame connected us with Beyond Meat.
Okay,
and they're going to provide us with some Beyond Meat options for folks to try to create a healthier lifestyle.
Okay,
so we're partnering with Delta Sigma Theta sorority, my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. We're going
Is that at your university?
Well, we're going to do it in Gary.
Oh, in Gary. Okay.
So my friend, she owns a restaurant. They're going to cook the meals, and we know it's COVID. We're going to pre-cook them, package them, and they're going to, like a drive-through.
That's dope.
Pull up.
That's amazing.
We're going to put them in your trunk, put the meals in your trunk on Thanksgiving for folks. So
that's amazing.
That's just an example of some of the work we're going to be doing.
Okay, that's amazing. That's a good idea, doing the drive-up.
Drive-through, yeah. I guess, what about folks who don't have cars?
We're taking it to them. We're going to the shelters.
Got it.
Going to the veteran shelter. That's one location. We're going to take them to the fire station.
Okay.
The police station for folks that's working that's on one of those holidays.
Okay.
And just try to get that information to them, get the food to them. And so we're in a food desert, right? In a city with 70, 80,000 people, there's like one fully stocked grocery store that has everything.
Okay.
And it's not going to have those whole food options, right?
Right.
It's going to be, it's going to be good, but it's not going to be great.
Okay.
Great quality. So that's another, when you look at those distressed cities and communities, transportation is an issue, and
Healthy
quality,
food,
and options.
Right.
Because if you have the options, how are you going to get there?
Correct. Cool. But listen, man, this was dope for me, dope experience, and you have our full support. We have a food company as well. It's the biggest meal prep delivery company in the country. It's called Trifecta, and that's how we feed people when we go. So we have no problem helping supply meals for you as well.
Awesome.
Full support. So
yeah, we gotta get you to come to Gary, Indiana, man.
Super down. I've never been. But I'm down. Yep.
We'd love to have you guys, man.
Cool. Thanks for coming, sir.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.